You're right.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Koteri College. My name's Rush and I'll be your professor. This place is where I teach you everything that I know. The lessons that I'm going to share with you here are the things that I've been taught by my teachers when I went to animation college and things I just picked up over the years of being an artist. We're going to learn everything from character design, anatomy, clothing, backgrounds, and so much more. I will share with you as much as I can on YouTube, but if you want the full experience, you got to hit up my Patreon where I will give you lessons, homework, and basically all the tips that I know on how to make you a better artist. I'm also opening up a Discord for people who want to share their artwork with other students or show me what they've been doing so I can critique it. So, this week we're going to be studying legs. We're going to start off with the bones like we did last time and then move on to the muscles and then we're going to do some exercises. Let's get started. I hope you guys admire that I got a whiteboard for y'all, so it's going to be real professional from now on. What I have here is what I'll be posting on the Patreon in further detail. So let's get started with the skeleton of the legs. So when we're starting off with the legs, you have to start from where it begins. Like how I did with the arm and the scapula, with the legs, we gotta start with the pelvis. So right now it might be a little unclear as what I'm doing. However, I'm trying to build as much volume as I can to make this look as 3D as possible. So I have these little dots here. One, because I can't really cross-hatch with this that well, but it allows me to see what is coming towards me and what I want to send back. So right here you can tell that it's kind of a rounded shape right here, right? And this comes in, I'm going to shade it in so you see it going inwards. And here, go in, I'm going to shadow. Comes in, goes here. It's a very unique shape. So this is the pelvis right here. What you need to know is the only part of the pelvis you're really going to see on the human body is right here. This is called the iliac spine. And you can feel it right here, right? It's under your obliques, right above your legs. There's this one part where there's no muscles and you can feel a hard spot, and that's your iliac crest. The pelvis has a socket right here, and your leg fits right into it. And this is the femur. The femur also has a part where you can feel it on the outside. This is called the great trochanter, right here. And then this tiny little bump right here, that's the lesser trochanter. The great trochanter is right here. You can also feel that. So you have what you would call a donut shape of muscles right here. So you have your gluteus maximus, which is your bum bum. You got your gluteus medius, which is your smaller bum bum. And you got your tensor fasciae latae, which is what you would order at Starbucks. But together, they make this donut shape around your greater trochanter, which you can feel. Here's a really interesting thing about the femur, right? Instead of just going down like this, where this would be your knee and this is your feet, and this would be your hip, in fact, it goes inwards and down. This is super exaggerated, but let me show you what I mean. So this dinosaur bone looking thing is the femur, right? Let me write it down for you guys. The femur, pelvis, iliac, spine. Here is the patella, cousin of Nutella, not as tasty, but it is also your kneecap. You got two bones in your lower legs, similar to have two bones in your upper arm. This one is called the tibia, and then on the outside right here, this really thin bone called the fibula. And it's really important to know the names of these bones because the muscles on top usually will correlate their names with the bones underneath. What's important to know when you're doing the leg is that the ankle on the outside of your leg is lower than the ankle on the inside. What I mean is, you have your two ankle bones. That's basically, the one on the inside is your tibia, and the one on the outside is your fibula, right? It's really important to know where they are in relationship to each other. So then we move on to the feet. So the feet is comprised of many small bones. Fun fact, I've broken both my feet. So this is the talus. Then we have the navicular, cuboid. Doesn't look like a cube, to be honest. I don't know why they named it a cuboid. These are called cuneiforms. All three of these are cuneiforms. And then we have, very similar to the hands, to be honest. So in the hands we have metacarpals. In the legs, instead of carpals, they're called tarsals. These parts are called the phalanges. There we have the front of the leg. Let me put in the tibia, fibula, and the patella. Always makes me think of Nutella. But I am hungry. What I suggest is you do this along with me if you can get some reference up, or if you're on my Patreon, you just go there and you can just look at the lessons that I've already put there for you. Next, we move on to the side. Try and I simplify the shape, right? Simple geometrical shapes. Things you need to focus on is like, this isn't just that kind of shape. There's more nuance to it than that. Like there's this tiny little hump right there that you gotta pick up on. And trust me, that has a name. I just don't know what the name is and I'm not interested in looking it up. I'm just looking for the most important parts of the skeleton. So the iliac spine's right here. Can't forget that there is the socket right here. And you'll see the shape right here, right there. So basically nerves go through here. So like you'll have tendons and tissue that go right through, and nerves and things that control the nether regions, probably around there. That's the entrance / exit hole of that. So here's the great trochanter. The femur has sort of a nice slight bend to it. It's got this nice little curve going on. The patella in front, and then you got the fibula on the side. I like to think that the thigh or the femur is just slightly longer than the lower leg. That's the calcaneus, the cuboid, which does not look like a cube. I need a better name for that. The talus, the navicular, and then we got the cuneiforms. The cuneiforms, also cuneiforms, okay. And then we got the metatarsals. It's got big feet, big gigantic feet. All I need to know is the shapes and the size. I'm kind of making it big so you guys can see it over there. So let's label it again, all right? Labeling is very important. If you know the names, then when you're drawing something, and if you happen to just skim over something, you can rehearse it in your head, being like, do I have the femur? Do I have the tibia, the fibula? And you're like, am I missing something? Oh yeah. And then you put down patella. So it's good to remember the names. It's actually very important to remember the names because it builds this habit of doing that for anything you draw, right? Not just the anatomy, but maybe let's say you're drawing trees. Things that you need to know about trees that would help you be a better artist when it comes to drawing trees. Being a smart human being is very important. I hate not knowing what there is. I don't want to miss out on any information that's key to making me a better artist or just a smarter individual. All right, moving on to the back view. You're like, God damn it, why do I have to learn all the views? You have to learn all the views because that's how you become a better person. You never know when your friend's gonna break their hip and you'd be like, it's the iliac spine. And you're like, how do you know that? And you say, I learned it in Koteri College. Spine, also known as the iliac crest. It depends on where you go, where you wanna study. See like these shapes? This is the back view. So we have this shape right here. So it goes in and out again. So the hole swoops in from the back and goes to the front and then goes all the way back up and does this really interesting shape. And what I'm doing right now, one thing that you should be doing when you are studying is you shouldn't be zoned out. You should be focusing on what you're drawing. So every time you create a shape, you do a line. You gotta tell yourself that there's this shape, there's this line. I used to mutter it under my breath back in school, and some kids were like, do you talk to yourself? And I was like, I didn't know I talked to myself, but I do. And it's to help me remember things. Now, as I'm doing this, I'm trying my hardest to not just draw what I'm looking at, but really take in all the information. I like to render. Ball and socket right here. Greater trochanter, the lesser trochanter, your femur, the tibia, fibula, coming here. Calcaneus, sounds like a Roman general. probably was a Roman general. There we have the skeleton of the front, the side, and the back of the leg. So try to memorize what you just done because we're going to be moving on to the muscles. Now I'm going to be erasing this and we're going to be saying goodbye, but we're going to keep everything we just did in mind so you'll see what I'm planning to do. I actually also have a lesson on the bones of the feet in real clear detail. However, I'm not going to share that here because we're going to be focusing mostly on the legs. But if you really do want to see how I do feet, then like I said, Patreon. Here's an exercise that I do after I study something. So I spend an hour or two studying using reference and then turn the page, I don't have anything in front of me, and I get to work redoing everything from memory. I think I say this in almost every video, but it's you study and then you do everything you just did by memory. And that's how you soak in all that information. Iliac spine / crest comes down, it's got this little Humpty Dump right there. You go here, same thing. And then got this right here. The great trochanter. The lesser trochanter. Right? The patella. And what I like to do at this point is to kind of skew it and use my imagination to make new models and make new poses, just so I can test myself to the limit. The calcaneus, cuboid, navicular, talus, the cuneiforms, the metatarsals, bum bum bum. Alright? 1. We'll do this several times. If you make mistakes or you feel like you're making mistakes, it's alright. You can go check up and see what you think you did wrong and correct it so that you can keep moving on. See, this is where it's actually important to make mistakes and not rely solely on reference. Because you make a mistake and then you think about what you made a mistake on and you go and correct that specific mistake. So in your mind, you're constantly reminded, once I made a mistake here, now I know what to do differently. So that's how I find to develop your skills as an artist, especially when it comes to drawing things without reference. Legs coming towards us. Patella, you kind of see the knee opening up, so you'll see the inside of the bone. All this stuff is held by muscles, tendons, and ligaments. I always try to remember that the fibula is lower than the tibia. Like I've told you before, it's always important to tell yourself in your head all this little information. So yeah, every time I kept messing up the cuboid and making it too short, but I told myself I made that mistake once, I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm kind of just rushing through the tarsals and the metatarsals of the feet. All I need to know for now is that I have the information in my head. I know how they're going to look like. I could spend a really long time rendering them, but for now, all I need to do is just execute it, put it on paper, or in this case, whiteboard, to prove to myself that I've been paying attention. I always want to shade this part in. If I don't shade this part in, my mind doesn't realize that this is inward. So you're just following this ridge this entire time, this ridge that goes around, back, through right there, from the back, here. So this part, the back was always confusing for me, but what I did right now is I looked at this and I take this shape in and I try to construct that in 3D in my head, rotate it around and see how it would look like from the back. It's kind of tricky and oftentimes you'll make mistakes, but over time, especially when you get more familiar with the subject, you can do that. You'll be able to rotate it around your head, like you'll be able to draw your hand like this, like this, like this, like this. That's because you've been constructing it so many times in different drawings or just in your head, that becomes a lot of a simpler task. Boom, okay, there we go. I did 3 of these for now. I suggest you do more. So what we just did was we studied the bones of the legs, we learned their names, the pelvis, iliac spine, great trochanter of the femur, lesser trochanter of the femur, patella, tibia, fibula, calcaneus, cuboid, talus, naviticus, the metatarsals, all that. All right, that's a mouthful. We learned that, we learned the names. Now we can draw it without any reference from memory And right now, I'm pretty confident with my ability to draw legs without any reference. I actually had to study up on it yesterday just so I could be a better teacher for this lesson today. I want to erase all of this. Bye bye. And now we're going to get to the meat of the video. And by that I mean we're going to be doing the muscles. As you can tell by most of my art, I really like to showcase all the muscles as much as I can without making it too gross. For now, I get to go and show you all the muscles, making it gross, but that's the intention behind it. We're going to start with the side view. And it would help to just draw the silhouette of the leg first. Kind of straight at the back, curved at the front, you got the knee. Now we know that's called the patella. The fibula. We got a big peach on this guy over here. Here's what you need to know from the start. What is this right here? That's what I was telling you. That shape is the iliac spine. So your pelvis is what separates your torso from your legs. And here's what I was talking about when I said you got this donut kind of shape going on. So this here, your gluteus maximus on this side, right? Gluteus maximus. Then you got your gluteus medius. Big booty, small side booty. And then you have the tensor fasciae lata. Always makes me think of a drink. This donut shape surrounds a major landmark on your body. Remember what we said about landmarks last time? A landmark is a part of the body where a bone protrudes that lets you see what's inside. So here, you got your greater trochanter sticking out right here. This is amazing. All right, then you come here, we got the quads. So you have 4 quad muscles. However, you can only see 3 of them because the 4th one, it hides underneath. So you got the rectus femoris, vastus medialis, vastus lateralis. Vastus intermedius is the one that hides inside. See here, there's a big separation between the quads and the hamstrings. So this is the vastus lateralis, right here. The rectus femoris. You have the patella here, so it's mostly tendons here, around and above and below the knee. On the back side, we have the bicep femoris. Basically what a bicep does is pull your arm in, right? So with your leg, your bicep on your leg makes you do the same thing with your arm, but in the other direction. So there's a long head of the bicep femoris. So you have the bicep femoris longus, and then bicep femoris brevis. So Latin, longus is long, brevis is short. So long, and then you have a tiny one right here, it's called latus femoris brevis. Your calves are called the gastrocnemius. Below it is just tendons that run into your Achilles tendon. And then we got the soleus. It gets really thin on the calf. Remember I said that it's important to know the names of the bones? It's because you have certain muscles like the tibialis anterior, which is basically based off the bone that it's underneath. So it's important to know the names so it makes more sense in the later run. Alright, now let's do the inside of the leg too. That's the fibula, that's the tibia. Here, I was telling you there's a teardrop shaped muscle right there. That's the teardrop shaped muscle right there. It's called the vastus medialis. And then you have this very long strap of muscle. I think it's actually the longest muscle you have in your body, running from your knee, right here, all the way up. And it's called the sartorius. Such a cool name for a muscle. Daddy, what was I named after? Well, son, I named you after the muscle in my leg, because it's a very long muscle. Cool, Daddy. There's a lot of muscles here that mostly help in extending your legs in and out like this. So we got the very nice thin strip right here that runs along the inside called the gracilis. And then you have the adductor longus semitendinosus. So then we got the gastrocnemius from this side, the soleus, which is, your shin is actually, your shin goes towards the inside of the leg. There's no muscles here, this is just bone. On the front you have the tibialis anterior, and then you have a band here, and all these muscles here connecting to your tendons in your toes. We can go over them. I can say them here. I'm not gonna write the names out like I promised you, I'm sorry about that, because I've already wrote the names of every muscle right here. I'm gonna have this up on Patreon, so it's gonna take up a lot of space here, but we can just go through it together. Gluteus maximus, medius, tensor fasciae latae, rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, bicep femoris, gastrocnemius, soleus, peroneus longus, peroneus brevis, extensor digitorum longus. tibialis anterior, and then you got the vastus medialis on that side right here. Soleus, you see it on both sides, the tibia right there, and then you got the tibialis anterior. Let's go to the back view now. Same shape as before. We follow the shape of the pelvis. So we got the gluteus maximus, gluteus medius, tensor fasciae latae, and then here is the greater trochanter. Split down the middle, goes here like that. So this here, rectus femoris, that is still your quad. You see your quad sticking out from the side. Bicep femoris, and here is the semitendinosus. This is the bicep femoris longus, and remember here, the tiny one, that's the bicep femoris brevis, so the short version. Your gastrocnemius, so there's this nice little cavity right here. You put your finger right through, just right there, like that, you know. You got the adductor magnus, gracilis, very nice thin strip right there, buddy. Okay, then we got the gastrocnemius. Also something to notice, remember how we said the fibula is lower than the tibia? Well, the same thing applies, but in a different way. So the gastrocnemius towards the inside of the leg is lower than the one situated on the outside. You can look in the mirror and you'll see that yourself. The inside is lower than the outside. Some small, some would say insignificant remark, but it's very important that you take that in because I look at it and I think, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. This girl is real smart. Wow. Congratulations, you pay attention. This tendon coming down, which is now connected to your Achilles, which goes to your calcaneus, and the fibula. Tibia, fibula. See? This angle, and look at this angle. Alright! Okay. Voila, we learned that. Alright, I'm also learning with you guys. This stuff, sometimes I forget about it if I don't study up on it after several months, so I also have to do this every so often. Don't just think you studied it once, I'm a brainiac, I figured it out, and just leave it. No, you stay on it, you keep doing it. You gotta keep up with the exercise. It's like going to the gym and saying, I lifted a whole ton of weight, and it's like, now you look like a couch potato. Doesn't make a difference that you did it once if you can't keep doing it. If your body is able to do it and your mind's willing to do it, then you should keep doing it. Always remember the shape of the pelvis and the nether regions right there. We're not gonna draw that in. You can if you want. I personally find that when you draw the leg or you try to draw the silhouette correctly, then putting the muscles in, you know, you can figure out the shapes better. Whereas if you're just putting in muscles individually one by one, you might end up with something that doesn't even look like a leg. Anyways, let's start with the teardrop shape that is the vastus medialis. Here's the rectus femoris, and then the vastus lateralis. Vastus medialis, rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, and then underneath all these three is the vastus intermedius. This is the sartorius, comes right here, goes to this other shape right here. That is the tensor fasciae latae. The gluteus medius, you won't see the gluteus maximus unless you're doing those exercises, right? Yeah, buddy. Then we got the gastrocnemius, the soleus, flexor digitorum longus, and then we had the tibia right here. So, you know, you bash your shins. Try not to hit directly this way. So, you know, try to hit your calves a bit if you can. The tibialis anterior runs right next to it. And then we got the peroneus longus, peroneus brevis, soleus, and then more gastrocnemius on the side. And then we have this band here that connects your tendons to your muscles. If you were following along, you would have figured this out as well as I had. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. You just need to know how to read, hold a pencil, have some paper, and you're all Gucci. Similar to what we did before. I'm going to erase all this, so say bye-bye to the bum-bums. Alright, bye bum-bums. Bye, Coochie. Cool beans. What we're going to do now, same thing as before. We drew the bones, and now we're drawing the muscles of the legs without any reference. So just try to focus your energy. Try to be calm, tap into your brain. Use that extra 90% of the brain that you normally use. Alright, we're going to draw it from the front, the side, and the back. Right? I want to kind of shade this in. Right. And then from the side. I have no attachment to any but suicide. Just the same. I can't have someone like you. Tensor fasciae gluteus medius, gluteus maximus, bicep femoris. There's a tendon there, rectus femoris right there. All right, gastrocnemius, soleus, peroneus, extensor digitorum, the tibia, tibialis anterior goes down, boom, fibula, and this comes up here. We gotta follow the iliac crest, vastus medialis, rectus femoris, sartorius, glute. Once again, the gastrocnemius. Like I said earlier, on the inside it is lower, on the outside it is higher. All right, soleus, peroneus, longus, peroneus brevis. So it's not very clean looking, but I know in my head, I know the names of the muscles, I know how it's gonna look like. If I really wanted to just, you know, put effort into rendering and all that, I can, and I already did. You'll be able to see it on the Patreon. I had a really good time doing it. I actually just felt like I was back in school. For now, I don't care about rendering. I'm just trying to show you guys how my process is and how your process needs to be if you want to be a great artist, right? Let's just do the back real quick. The quick things right here, man. So we got the bumbleclad, we got the gluteus medius, gluteus maximus, tasser, fasciae latae, greater trochanter, boom, shaka. Rectus femoris, bicep femoris brevis, semitendinosus, got the gracilis, ductor magnus. You see that dimple on the bum bum? You know, sometimes you see people have a dimple on their back. It's where the glutes end on the pelvis. Yeah. Enjoy it while it lasts. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I cannot stress this enough. If you really want to take this seriously and you want to dive into character creation, you really have this dream for making this awesome comic, you want to go into animating, or you want to do concept art, you need to start from the basics, and these are the basics, right? This is like, you know how the body looks like, you know how it functions, you know all about it. So then creating a character like a bodybuilder character or a really strong warrior or just whatever you can come up with, you can do a better job at it now. So right now we're doing anatomy. Next time we're probably going to be doing the torso, but we're going to move into clothing and how clothes fit over the body. If you really want to get the full experience, I really suggest joining the Patreon, going on the Discord, talking with other people, and I'll be handing out your assignments. So if you want to share your assignments with other people and see where you guys are at and discuss it, and then I can come in, critique it, talk to you guys, tell you what you need to work on, what you can do to get better. It's a wonderful experience there, and I've already had a Discord with some other people, and I got to test it out, and it was great. And I really got to learn on how to help other people improve their artistic skills, and if you got the talent for it and how to hone it and how to harness that skill to make something great out of it. This is where we're starting, and we have a long way to go before we get to where you can be as the best artist that you can be. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you guys as soon as I can. Thank you for everything. Peace out. My name's Rouge. I'm your professor. I hope you have a great night. Peace.